Courtroom 2. Is there anyone currently in courtroom 2?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, courtroom 2. Would you mind placing position 12, Robert Harris, at the end of the calendar, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well.
Good.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. At least
Good
I see
afternoon,
a
Your Honor.
lot of familiar faces today, so that's
Good
good.
afternoon, Your Honor.
Brewster, just put your
Hi,
mouth-
Ms. McLeod.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Oh, shit.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And Ms. Willis, where are you? You're in the courtroom or somewhere?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's a beautiful background. It looks pretty original. It's like, how did she get in the courtroom? But I do see the courtroom. There's no one there, so that's good. All right, we'll get started. And I'm sorry. Good afternoon, Ms. Bridgewater.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Good afternoon, everybody, for that matter.
Good afternoon, Ms.
afternoon.
Bridgewater.
Yes.
All right, listen up, fellas. There should be no talking. Once court starts, the judge starts, there should be no talking in here. Once I hear anyone talk, I will reset.
Those sound like good instructions there. All right, there they are. Good afternoon, courtroom 2.
Good afternoon.
All right, I'll go ahead and get started. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am Judge Regina Mincy, and we're going to begin our Fulton County State Court Expedited Accusations calendar. This is a calendar for cases in which individuals have been recently arrested and charged with certain misdemeanor offenses. Soon after their arrest, the Fulton County Solicitor General's office has already accused these cases of the offenses brought against them, and the case has been bound over to the Fulton County State Court. Nevertheless, this will usually be the defendant's initial appearance before a state court judge. So we are going to address several matters, and we're able to address those matters, which include bond, possible arraignment, and consideration of a possible plea offer if one has been made by the state at this juncture. I'm going to also be providing you with a reset date, and that date is April the 18th. All right, April 18th. And so that'll be the SAP date. I want to also begin by advising everyone that this entire proceeding is being recorded as well as live streamed on YouTube, so govern yourselves accordingly. I want to remind the defendants on this calendar that you do have certain constitutional rights. The first being that you do have a right to have representation by an attorney. And most of you at this point know who your attorneys are and have counsel. You also have a second constitutional right to remain silent. Remember that anything that you state about the facts, the circumstances, and the occurrences of your case can and will be used against you. State is here and they're listening. So again, listen to your attorneys. All right, who do we have first?
Yes, I.
No. We don't say that. This is gonna be position 3, Mr. Brewster. We also have his family member, his father is in the back gallery.
Okay. Do you know whether or not his father wants to address the court? And I'm not for sure if I'm going to let him, but let's see.
You said no.
No,
He does not. Okay. All right. This is 23 CR 002029F. Chiante Brewster charged with 1 count of theft by receiving stolen property. The offense date is April the 2nd, 2023. Pretrial.
The defendant has 1 prior cycle. It was the last arrest was September the 2nd, 2020 in Fulton County for theft by receiving stolen property. There was no disposition for that arrest, Your Honor. The defendant appeared to meet the criteria for UJR with an adult co-signer. The defendant is 19 years of age if you're considering pretrial, Your Honor. Nothing in addition.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Stay.
Yes, good afternoon, Judge Missy. How are you?
I'm fine. Good afternoon.
Good. So this incident occurred yesterday at 125 Ellis Street at about 1:18 in the morning. And this is where officers arrived at that location and they heard a single gunshot and they saw people begin running away. And in that, the officers observed the defendant running by his police cruiser and pulling out a gun from his pants. Your Honor, that's when the officer held the defendant into custody and they checked for the gun and ran the gun in the police database and found that the gun was stolen in July 10th, 2021. The defendant did admit to officers that he bought that gun for $200 off of someone. Your Honor, and for these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $20,000 surety bond and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All right.
Your Honor, my client is 19 years old. He lives at home with his parents. He tells me his mom and his dad, and he does have some other siblings who live within the household. He tells me that he also has a young child, 2 months old, that he is fully involved with, Your Honor, and he is employed. He works at the World Congress Center, and he tells me that he is going to start CDL school on Friday coming. He said he was out and he heard a gunshot and he was scared. There are lots of people were running and he was just running. He does admit that he had the gun on him and it's a gun that he bought, Your Honor. It's not a gun that he stole. He did not know that the gun was stolen, and he is 19 years old, so legally he can carry a gun. There's no reason why he should not carry a gun, Your Honor. I would ask the court, given his limited criminal history, to give him a signature bond so he could get out of jail. I know, as I said before, he lives with his parents, and I believe there was an indication that they are also here on the Zoom, Your Honor, to address the court if needs be, but he does live with them. And if there is a signatory needed for his bond, they are prepared to do that. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Your Honor, just quickly, just in the previous case that pretrial mentioned, which was the theft by stolen property, the defendant was out in that case on an $11,000 signature bond through pretrial services. Your Honor, I just want to put that on the record.
Your Honor, there's no allegation that he was doing anything in particular. He was running past the police cruiser, according to what the prosecution said, and that he had a gun. There is nothing to say that he could not have a gun as far as I know, and there's nothing that says he did anything in particular, except that he was running. Just wanted to point that out to the court.
All right, thank you. And I understand his father's in the back of the courtroom. Do we have his father's name?
Kenneth Brewster.
What's that first name?
Kenneth.
Oh, Kenneth. Okay.
Did I say that?
I am concerned that he has a gun, and I do understand the point that Ms. McLeod is making, that does have a right to carry. But hopefully you all will be able to sort out the allegations. This is just a bond hearing. And so I'm going to grant the UJR, or the signature bond. I'm going to grant that signature bond in the amount of $10,000. And that signature bond will be through pretrial per judge. I'm going to also order that there will be no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons or firearms while on bond. And Mr. Brewster, if you have any other firearms, you need to surrender them to the Fulton County Sheriff's Department.
I answer that.
I'm sorry?
No.
Okay, don't have any other firearms? Okay. Also, let me ask this, and I didn't ask Ms. McLeod, state you were working, so I'm assuming he's graduated from high school. Ms. McLeod, you're on mute.
Yes, Your Honor, he is a high school graduate and he is enrolled in CDL school. He's going to get his CDL. He's to start his training on Friday, he tells me.
Okay. I was thinking of a curfew, but I'm inclined maybe not to. I want him to be able to be gainfully employed, and going to CDL school obviously is a start to get a better position and maybe permanent work. I won't do that at this point, but certainly Mr. Brewster's, be careful out there, stay out of trouble. But the only condition I'll do is just the no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or firearms while on bond. And then, of course, I guess you will have to report to pretrial, and they'll give you that information. And the father, Miss Jackson, he needs to have a utility bill.
Yes, a utility bill and his current ID or driver's license. They both have to have the current address on both documents.
Can we ask father if he has that? Deputy,
I'm sorry, repeat that again, Judge.
can you ask the father if he by chance brought a utility bill with him? I'm
No,
assuming
he
he
did
has
not.
his, I know he has his ID because he wouldn't have been able to get in. I'm assuming, let's see, would he have time to go get it, or I don't know that I want to waive it.
Are you able,
Are the-
to go back and get your utility bill from home? Okay. So, yes, you're able to go back and get it? No, he's not able to go back and get it, Judge.
Did I hear him say he lives in Jonesboro, Georgia?
Yes.
Okay, that's not far away. Traffic might be ugly, but this is the first day of spring break. So I've been hearing traffic is light. The problem is, and maybe I'll ask it this way, are the utilities at the home in his name?
Yes. Yes, it is, Judge.
Can he get online and go somewhere to print, or I don't know if he can show it to you all that way. I guess you have to have a physical copy, correct, Ms. Jackson?
Normally they have a copy. I'm sure if he can go online and print, I'm sure that would be acceptable.
Can he, if he can do it from his phone, can he email it to you all at pretrial?
I'm not sure if they will accept it by email. That's something I would have to check on.
I'm gonna ask the last hard question. Is there anywhere there at the jail that he can send it to that someone can print it for him?
Judge, can he use a check stub?
I don't think we need a check stub from the father.
Come on. You, come on. Come on.
Yes, it has all his information on it.
He can try since it's so close to the jail. I'm not guaranteeing that they will accept it.
Yeah, that's the problem. If they don't accept it, then he would have wasted the time that he could have to have gone home and come back. I know he doesn't want to, but it's not like he's getting out in the next 30
Most likely
minutes.
You're gonna have to go back home and grab your utility bill.
Yeah, because
Okay,
I mean, he's not gonna get out that fast. By the time he gets back, he won't have to wait around.
Yes, he said that's fine, Judge.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Your Honor, for that previous case that Mr. Brewster had, that
Yes.
case was closed out on April the 28th, 2021 by pretrial. The defendant received PTI.
Okay, good, thank you.
Mhm.
Because I was getting ready to say it couldn't have still been open because you probably wouldn't have taken them. And I know Ms. Bickerstaff told me that, and I had that going in my head, but I forgot to ask. So thank you for that update.
Oh,
All
no
right.
problem, Your Honor.
Yeah, anything else? Counsel?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, good luck to you, Mr. Brewster.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, bro.
Judge, next we have position 21, Mr. Val Pomocho. He also has a guest in the gallery. And FYI, Judge, we do have a lengthy calendar on today. If we can move a little bit swiftly, please.
I shall try. This is case number 23 CR 2026Y 002026Y. Yardi Vale Pomocho, charge of 1 count of loiter and prowling, offense date April the 2nd, 2023. Pretrial.
Your Honor, the defendant does not have any prior arrests on file. The defendant meet the criteria for a UJR through the jail. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, state.
Yes, this incident occurred yesterday at 2799 Piedmont Road Northeast. This is the Mercedes-Benz Buckhead station at about 4 a.m. And this is simply where officers responded to that location that the defendant and he actually has a co-defendant in this case. We're running around the property. This defendant in particular was held at gunpoint with the officers at this location. And it's to note that this location was closed at the time. The defendant and his co-defendant were running around the property, and it wasn't set to open until 9 a.m. today, Your Honor. The state's recommendation is a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial services, a stay away order from the Mercedes-Benz Buckhead location, which is 2799 Piedmont Road, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All right, and is this your case, Ms. McLeod?
It is, Your Honor.
Okay.
My client is 21 years old. As pretrial has mentioned, he has no record. He is gainfully employed. He tells me he works in HVAC. He is a high school graduate. He lives at home with his extended family, including his parents, and he tells me his grandparents. My client says he had just left the club with a friend and they were waiting on a ride. They did not drive there. And, you know, they're just waiting on the ride and playing around while they waited. It was no ill intent or anything like that. They didn't know that that was something that they were going to end up being arrested for. I have no problem with the signature bond. Is suggesting, Your Honor. We are fine with that.
All right. I will order that $4,000 signature bond through the jail.
Thank you.
I'm gonna order a stay away from the 2799 Piedmont Road Northeast, which is the Mercedes-Benz Buckhead location. Stay away from there. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. That should conclude that matter.
Yes, thank you, Judge. And just because he has a co-defendant in the same case, would you mind going to position 1? The facts are the same.
Okay. Deputy, can we do that?
You said position 1, okay. Go ahead and have.
Yes.
Arcos, Jimenez. Come on. This is position 1, Arcos, Jimenez.
All right, 23 CR 002027D, charge of 1 count of loitering and prowling, same offense date, April 2nd, 2023. These are the same facts.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, pretrial.
The defendant has 1 prior cycle. The defendant's last arrest was January the 21st, 2021 in Cobb County for 2 counts of a hit and run. Those charges were null pros, March the 1st, 2022. The defendant appeared to meet the criteria for a UJR through the jail. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right. And state, anything else to add?
Nothing to add. The facts are the same. The state is asking for the same bond recommendation of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial services and to stay away from the Mercedes-Benz Buckhead location and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All right. And whose case is this?
It
Ms.
is mine.
Willis?
Yes.
No, Wills. I'm sorry. WILLS. I apologize, Ms. Wills.
We're in agreement with the state's position. We would also, I plan to ask for a signature bond. And I just want to note for the record that my client adamantly denies these charges. But we are in agreement with the signature bond. Thank you.
All right. How old is your client?
He is 22 years old. He is employed. He works for Life's Tree Doctors, where he works, I guess, in a first forestry type position. He is single, no children, and as pretrial stated, he has no convictions on his record.
All right. I will grant the $4,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from the Buckhead Mercedes-Benz location on Piedmont. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Anything else, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Position 2, Barnwell.
That one, I have a note. We still need a breakout or not?
Yes,
we do.
please.
Okay, we're gonna do that at the end. Breakout.
Deputy, I think I have a note in the chat. They want to break out on 2 and 15.
2
We
and
can save
15.
those. Mhm.
2 and 15.
15 is Jones.
Okay,
Where's Valerie?
It is Timothy Jones. There's 2 Joneses on the calendar, so
Oh.
Timothy Jones.
Okay.
Timothy Jones.
come on, Ms. Gary. Position 9, Gary.
And before we do 9, I have another note, Deputy, that PD Kim wants to speak to Lyons, position 16.
Yes, Your Honor.
He was not on our full sheet, Judge, is it?
Oh, she said the same thing. He's on the calendar. And
Yeah.
actually, that's what PD Kim said. He wasn't on hers either. How did we get a different one?
Is
So
it
he's not
possible
there.
that It can be reset until tomorrow?
Okay.
Actually, that may not be possible. Hold on, let me see when he was arrested.
I was going to
do not
say, because
want-
it doesn't even
Yep.
say on my sheet when he was arrested, on my
Well, it
calendar.
says he was booked in yesterday at 10 o'clock PM. So I'm not sure why he didn't show up on the jail poll sheet, because he was booked in ample enough time to have appeared on there. Somehow we knew about him and we pulled the case and gave it a SG number and worked it up. But if they are unable to bring him, it's not a Riverside issue until 48 hours from now.
All right, okay.
So I will let the court and obviously PD Kim decide it as well as the jail, but I don't see any reason why we do need to hold him if we can address it today.
It's your call, Deputy.
Okay, they're gonna go ahead and get him, Judge.
Okay, thank you. All right, those are all the notes I see. All right, we'll go back to which position? I'm sorry.
Position 9, Your Honor.
9, okay.
For Gary.
'23 CR 002030A, Brigette Gary, charged with 1 count of battery, offense date April the 2nd, 2023. Free trial?
I apologize, Your Honor. Just a moment. I thought we was doing Barnwell. Just a moment.
Oh, no, they're gonna hold it to the end.
The defendant has 21 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was August the 15th, 2022 in Orange County, Florida for a failure to appear. The underlying charge was not listed. It just stated it was a felony. I did see 1 misdemeanor conviction that was in 2012 out of Florida for battery. The defendant does have a history of failure to appears. There was 1 in 2022, 1 in 2020, and 1 in 2018, and 1 in 2013. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, State.
Yes, Your Honor. The offense date for this incident is April 2nd, 2023. It took place at 355 Peachtree Street Northeast, Atlanta, Georgia. That is the Commons at Imperial Hotel. Officer Chandler of APD was called out about a fight in progress. Upon arrival, he met with the security personnel, Mr. Alfonso Glass. That is the victim in this case. He stated that an unknown Black woman was causing a problem in the building. And when he approached her, she released pepper spray and then fled the scene. Your Honor, the security personnel was dressed in security, in clothing reflecting that he was security, and he was hit with the pepper spray. Officers did observe redness to his face. That is the basis for the 1 charge of battery. You know, the state has concerns concerning this random act. When officers were able to locate the defendant, she had no clear reason as to why she pepper sprayed the area, pepper sprayed the security. She has several obstruction arrests. Your Honor, the state's recommendation in this case is a $2,000 surety bond, no further contact with the victim. That is Mr. Alfonso Glass. First name spelled Alfonzo, and to stay away from the Commons at Emperor Hotel, located at 355 Peachtree Street, Northeast, Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you.
Your Honor, my client is 33 years old. She denies the allegations. I'm sorry, my grandson is outside. I'm a little upset.
Okay.
Yes. She denies that this was what happened, Your Honor. What she tells me is that she was in the passageway and the security guard came up to her making allegations that she was loud and he struck her, and that was when she pepper sprayed him. So she maintains that he struck her first and she was simply defending herself. My client is going to need a one-time escort to get back to that location to retrieve her items, Your Honor. She really is in no position to pay for a bond. She tells me that she's just recently moved to the state of Georgia. She does have her father who lives in Douglas County, but he's not in a position to help her with paying bond, Your Honor. So I would ask the court to consider giving her a signature bond. They don't know each other. He's a security guard. She doesn't have to go back there to live or anything. I would ask the court to take that into consideration. Nothing further.
All right. I'm going to order the $2,000 surety bond. With that surety bond, I will grant a one-time escort, one-time law enforcement escort back to that property to retrieve any personal items. Stay away from the 355 Peachtree Street. This is the Commons at Emperor Hotel, I believe.
Yes, Your Honor.
And no further contact with the victim, Alfonso Glass. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Position 20, Stout.
This is 23 CR 00203-2A. Is that Miles Stout? Miles Scott Stout? You're charged with 1 count of DUI, less safe, 2nd count of reckless driving, 3rd count of speeding, all with the offense date of April 2nd, 2023. Pretrial.
The defendant has 19 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was August the 26th, 2022 in DeKalb County, Georgia for a DUI. That case appeared to be still pending in DeKalb County for improper stopping in the roadway and a DUI and impeding traffic flow in possession of an open alcoholic beverage while operating a motor vehicle. The defendant does have prior felony convictions. One in 2017 out of California for dangerous drugs, and one in 1998 out of Florida for forgery. And the defendant does have misdemeanor convictions. One in 1990 for a DUI. Additional one in 1990 out of Chris County for a DUI, and one in 1986 for a DUI and habitual violator. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, State.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened yesterday at 3 o'clock in the morning, approximately. Defendant was driving a silver Porsche on Georgia State Route 140 and was going 72 miles per hour in a 45-mile-per-hour zone. The defendant was failing to signal and drove around vehicles, leaving little space between his vehicle and those he was passing and cutting in front of. So the officer observed this reckless manner of driving and pulled the defendant over. And when he pulled the defendant over, he smelled the odor of alcohol on the defendant. The defendant's eyes were red and watery, and the defendant had urinated on himself. And upon speaking with the officer, the defendant admitted to drinking alcohol, and the FST evaluation indicated impairment. As pretrial has already stated, this defendant's entire history in Georgia is DUIs, 86, 90, 90, and then again in 2002. The 86, 90, and 90 DUIs were all convictions. The 2002 was an acquittal. The August 2022 DUI arrest is the most recent, which is still outstanding out of Dunwoody. And then we have that number of cases outside of Georgia. But what really concerns the state is this persistent pattern of DUIs leading all the way up until this past year and now this case today. For those reasons, we are afraid that he is a danger to the community. If he continues to drive like this, it's only a matter of time before someone ends up seriously harmed by his actions. For those reasons, the state is asking for a $6,000 surety bond. That's $4,000 on the DUI, $1,000 on the speeding, and $1,000 on the reckless. We're asking for no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and we're taking the additional step of asking for no driving whatsoever. Thank you.
All right. PD Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Stout is 60 years old, and he has been here in Georgia almost all his life, even though he was born in Florida. He moved here a long time ago when he was stationed at a military from 1979 to 1986. He fought for the country. He served our country for about 7 years. here in Georgia. So ever since then, he's been here, and he's currently employed at Greenwood Farm. It's a family business where he works, and it's at Loganville, Georgia. He's been in the industry about 30 years, and he has completed GED successfully. We would like to request for maximum $1,000 good bond. Definitely speeding, we would like to request for signature on bond through jail. And DUI, less safe, and reckless driving, we ask for $1,000 good bond. Thank you. I believe his family members from Greenwood Farms Produce is here on the Zoom as well.
All right, I do see a Greenwood Farms, but I'm not sure if I am inclined today to hear from the family, unless they just tell me they're gonna keep him off the road. Who is that from Greenwood Farms? Are you related to the defendant, sir? You can unmute yourself. The gentleman with the red hoodie on and that says Greenwood Farms, can you unmute yourself, sir? Okay, we will move forward. Doesn't seem like that was someone who was on the scene, obviously, and is certainly not a victim in the case. I'm going to go ahead and order the $6,000 surety bond, and that will be $4,000 on the DUI, $1,000 on the reckless driving, and $1,000 on the speeding. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or firearms while on bond. And I am going to order no driving while on bond. So he's got to do ride shares or have family members to ride him around while he's on bond. And that should conclude it. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing further from defense.
Nothing
All
from
right.
the state, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Judge, I have a quick announcement for Mr. Lyons. Ms. Kim, he's at the phone. You can go ahead and call 44612-2392, and I'll go ahead and move forward with Ms. Will's cases. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Position 19, Robinson. He's a conflict.
This is case number 23CR002038E, Alec Robinson. You're charged with 1 count of affray or fighting. The offense date is April the 1st, 2023. Pretrial.
Defendant has 9 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was February the 1st, 2023, with the City of Atlanta Police Department for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. That case appeared to be still pending, Your Honor. Well, actually, let me start over. The defendant does have an open case pending in Fulton County for possession of a firearm or a knife during commission of a felony and aggravated assault. That case number is 22 CP 210914. Also, he has that other case pending for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. There was no case number. It looks more like a reference number. Would you like that, Your Honor?
No, that's fine.
23, the letter T, the letter R, 011148. The defendant did receive first offender treatment in 2017 out of Henry County, Georgia, for forgery in the 4th degree. That case was sealed September the 20th, 2017. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. State.
Yes, Your Honor. This case happened April 1st, 2023 at 285 Marietta Street. The defendant stated he parked in the parking lot, came out to find his vehicle booted. He then tried to confront Sean Reagan, who is currently a defendant in felony court, about placing the boot on his car. And according to the defendant, he said he grabbed onto his car door. Mr. Reagan then punched the defendant in the face and a fight began. The defendant was placed in a headlock. Other people intervened to assist. And according to the defendant, Reagan then pulled a handgun and held it drawn. According to Mr. Reagan, when police arrived, he was holding a gun, but had the gun pointed away from the defendant. Mr. Reagan's version of events is that the defendant grabbed him while arguing with him about the boot he had placed on the defendant's car for parking illegally. And when that happened, the defendant, Mr. Reagan said he defended himself by striking the defendant, and then a fight ensued. So that is why both of them were arrested for a fray. The defendant, Reagan, was also arrested for aggravated assault and possession of a firearm during commission of a felony. So the state's recommendation in this case, and we do understand that he has an open aggravated assault, but given the circumstances of this particular case, we are agreeing to a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and no further contact with Sean Reagan. That is SeanRegan. Nothing further from the state.
All right.
Your Honor, we concur that we're perfectly okay with that. I will not say anything that, I don't need to. I think the state understands what happened. My client was definitely the victim here.
Okay. All right. I will order that $3,000 signature bond, and I'm going to order that signature bond through pretrial per judge. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or handguns while on bond, and no further contact with Sean Reagan.
Mr. Robinson, do you want to speak about your bond?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you want to say? You have a signature bond. That means you don't have to pay any money.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But that's a signature bond through pretrial services, so you will have to report in and they will explain that to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there
And the state did not, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. McLeod.
No, I just wanted to make sure if he was trying to tell me something or anything, because just ask the officer for my number. You can always call me unless this is something the court needs to address.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know what Your Honor was about to say. We did accidentally omit one-day anger awareness. So it was not on purpose. It wasn't intentional. The state omitted it by accident.
All right, and I'm going to order the one-day anger awareness course through pretrial. And you did not ask for a stay away. I know that
not
necessary. It was a parking garage. Yeah.
Correct. It was just a parking lot. He was picking up a DoorDash order. The location didn't request any kind of stay away, so the state will not.
Okay, that's fine. We'll leave that off. All right.
Thank you.
That will conclude this case, Mr. Robinson. You're welcome.
Thank you, Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Position 14, Jones. Lazarus Jones. Who you paying so for?
This is 23 CR 002022A. Lazarus Jones, you're charged with 1 count of criminal trespass, family violence, 2nd count of simple battery, family violence, both with the offense date of July 14, 2022. Pre-trial.
The defendant has 13 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was December the 17th, 2018 in Fulton County for theft by receiving stolen property and possession of a vehicle with an altered VIN number and attempting to misrepresent a tag. The defendant does appear to be on probation in Fulton County. That case number is 18 SC 164100 for theft by receiving stolen property and possession of a vehicle with an altered VIN and attempting to misrepresent a tag. That disposition date, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I apologize. I need to go back and write that complete disposition date down. One letter is missing, and I'm so sorry. I apologize to the courts. But
that's okay. Does the state have it? Because I know looking as well. I didn't know if that was quicker for them to fill in that.
Okay, but the term is for 5 years, and I will
That's
look that up in just a moment. The defendant does have prior felony convictions. There was one in 2011 out of Douglas County for theft by receiving stolen property and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. And there was one in 2004 for 2 counts of burglary. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, State.
Yes, Your Honor. The offense date of this incident is July 14th, 2022. It took place at 1446 Childress Drive, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia. Officer responded to a domestic dispute between a woman and the father of her children. The argument happened about money. The officer spoke to the victim in this case, Miss Sasha Smith. That's spelled S-A-S-H-A Smith. She stated that she was having a conversation with the father of her children, the defendant, Mr. Lazarus Jones. The conversation escalated and Mr. Jones arrived at her home. He was knocking on the door. Miss Smith was not letting him in. And then he kicked in the back door to enter into the house. Once inside of the home, he pushed the victim and also punched her, as well as took some items that belonged to the children inside the house, including a PS5. The daughter, an 8-year-old daughter, witnessed all this happen. When officers arrived at the location, Mr. Jones had already left. Miss Smith made several attempts to call him while the officers were there, and they were able to observe the conversation between the two, where she asked him why he did what he did and why he took the items and hit her. At that point, he stated, "I didn't hit you." And then all the children said, yes, they did, that they did observe their father hit their mother, Your Honor. We have some concerns. We had though it was no process, we have a 2011 aggravated assault and a 2015 aggravated assault. I wasn't able to ascertain if that was with the same victim, but the convictions themselves are very concerning. Your Honor, the state's recommendation in this case for count 1 on the criminal trespass family violence is a $2,000 surety bond. For the count 2 family violence simple battery is a $3,000 surety bond for a total of $5,000 on surety. Stay away, no further contact with the victim, and no alcohol or drugs while on supervision. Your Honor, we've had the opportunity to speak to the victim in this case. She has stated that she wants no contact and for him to stay away from her home, that Childress Drive. I don't believe I see her on the call, but if she is, Your Honor, we would ask that she be sounded for.
All right, is there I see a Tasha Smith, is there a Sasha Smith or anyone connected with the case of Lazarus Jones?
Your Honor, I need to correct that. The name is Tasha Smith. Her name is Tasha Smith.
All right, and I do see a Tasha Smith on the Zoom. Someone has signed in with that name. Ms. Smith, do you wish to address the court? Tasha Smith. All right, we'll go forward, Ms. Yes, ma'am.
I'm fine. Yes.
If you wish to address the court, I need to see your face and you have to turn your camera on.
Can you see me?
Now I can. Do you wish to address the court today?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm fine. I just wish.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Stay away from my
All
phone.
right.
I don't know how he'll go about getting.
Hold on. That was a yes or no question, but you then can't start talking. Because if you do, I'm going to have to swear you in first.
No, I'm fine.
Okay, thank you. All right.
No, I don't want to drink.
Okay. We will move forward. Ms. Wills.
Thank you, Your Honor. My client is 37 years old. He is a carpenter. He does not have any children residing in the home with him. However, he and Ms. Smith do have children together. He adamantly denies the allegations. He does not have any objection to not having any contact with Ms. Smith. And he already has arrangements where they go through a third party in all matters regarding to and related to their children. Mr. Jones reports that he does not have any prior batteries on his record. I would like the court to note again, as the solicitor stated, the aggravated assault was null prost, and so that shouldn't even be taken in consideration in regards to his bond. And so we are asking for a $3,000 surety bond at this time.
All right.
Your Honor,
I'd
I also
like to
had that case number if Your Honor was still interested in having that prior case
Go
number.
ahead. Uh-huh.
Yes, Your Honor, that case number is 18 CS 164100.
All right.
And Your Honor, I apologize for interrupting. I
Yes.
just want to give you that disposition date for the probation. It was
Okay.
February the 26th, 2019.
Okay. Thank you for that. All right. There's nothing else. I'm going to order the $5,000 surety bond. I'm going to, that breakdown will be $2,000 on the criminal trespass and $3,000 on the simple battery. I'm going to order a stay away from the address of Childress Drive. I'm going to order no further contact with Sasha Smith. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I believe that will be all for now.
And Your Honor, just for clarification, I misspoke. The victim's name is Tasha Smith. It was misspelling.
Right. Oh, okay. So it is Tasha Smith. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And no further contact with her. That should conclude this case.
Position 13, January.
This is 23 CR 002023Y. Jayden Lamar, January. Charged with 1 count of criminal trespass and damage to property. Offense date April the 1st, 2023. Retrial.
The defendant does not have any prior arrests on file, Your Honor. The defendant appeared to meet the criteria for UJR through pretrial services at level 1 with a parental cosigner. The defendant is 17 years of age. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right. State.
Yes, Your Honor. This offense date took place on April 1st, 2023 at 901 Hampton Drive in Sandy Springs. Officers responded to a domestic dispute. There they met with the defendant, Jayden January, who was attempting to leave the location. He stated that he and his sister, Miss Ashula, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correct, but it is spelled ASHULAA, January, had entered into a verbal argument, and as he was leaving the location, he damaged her car, a Mustang. Your Honor, this is a first arrest, Your Honor. The state's recommendation in this case would be a $3,000 surety bond, no further violent contact with the victim, a 1-day anger awareness, and no alcohol or drugs while on supervision.
All right. Ms. Wills.
Yes, Your Honor. My client is just 17 years old. As it was stated, this incident occurred between himself and his adult sibling, who is much older. She is 33 years old. He claims that she sprayed him with pepper spray, which led to the further events. His sister does not reside in the home with him. He is still in high school. He reports that he lives in the home with, it's just him and his mother in the home. He is unemployed as he still, actually, I'm sorry, he works at Domino's and also attends high school. And so we were asking for a signature bond, especially in light of the fact that he is just 17 years old. This is his first arrest. And that is all. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to order a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial. I'm going to order the 1-day anger awareness course. I'm going to order no further violent contact with his sister Ashla January. And I think that'll be it, correct?
Thank you, Judge.
Your Honor, is that with the parental cosigner?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I forgot. And we need the parental cosigner with a utility bill.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Position 11, Gullion.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, do we have the name of the parent that's going to co-sign so I can put it on the bond order, please?
Oh, that's right. Deputy, is it possible to ask him which, or does he know, or
Oh, my, they just walked out. Hold on, Judge.
he just walked out? That's okay. Well,
I'm sorry, no, he's still in here.
oh, okay.
Carolyn January.
Carolyn January. Okay. Carolyn with the C, correct? Okay. Thank you.
Position 11, Gullion.
This is 23 CR 002031G. Robert Gullion or Gillian, I'm not sure I pronounce it. Charged with 1 count of simple battery and 2nd count of criminal trespass. Pre-trial.
The defendant has 34 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was February the 18th, 2023 in Fulton County for criminal trespassing. The defendant does appear to have an open case pending in Fulton County for loitering or prowling and possession and use of drug-related objects and entering an automobile. That case number is 20 CP 191484. And the defendant appeared to have additional open case pending for criminal trespassing and obstruction of an officer and disorderly conduct. That case number is 22 MAG C 02968. And there appeared to be an additional open case pending for possession of Schedule II controlled substance. That case number is 22 SC 185031. In addition to that, the defendant appeared to have an open case pending in Cobb County for criminal trespassing. Also, the defendant appeared to be on probation in Fulton County for criminal trespassing and obstruction of an officer. That case number is 22 CR 034962 and the letter G. That disposition date was June the 16th, 2022, and the term is for 12 months. The defendant does have a history of failure to appear. There were 3 in 2017 and 1 in 2016. Also, the defendant has a history of probation violations. There were 2 in 2018, and there were 2 in 2017. There was 1 in 2016 and 1 in 2015. The defendant does have prior felony convictions. There was one in 2012. Council may want to waive sounding. It's associated with the CWAC. There was one in 2011 out of Gwinnett County for theft by receiving stolen property. And the defendant does have misdemeanor convictions. It's one in 2017 for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. One in 2009 for theft by receiving stolen property and theft by deception. And one in 2000, I apologize for being out of order, Your Honor. There was one in 2011 for theft by shoplifting. Nothing in addition.
All right. State.
Thank you, Your Honor. This offense date is on April 1st, 2023. It took place at 9955 Old Dogwood Road in Roswell. Your Honor, we would state also that we are still waiting for the police report, but according to the warrant, Your Honor, that the officers responded to a criminal trespass at the Studio 6 Motel at the Old Dogwood Road residence. There they made contact with the defendant in this case, Mr. Robert Gullion. He had been previously criminally trespassed from that location from 2017. That was the basis for the criminal trespass, Your Honor. On that same day, he also made contact with the victim in this case, a Mr. Sebastian Kicklighter. That's spelled Sebastian Kicklighter, Kickligter. There, the defendant grabbed the victim and stated that the reason why was that he accused him of taking his phone. Your Honor, the defendant does have an extensive history of a myriad of offenses, some just like this, Your Honor. We have some concerns about him remaining in accordance with law enforcement legal orders to come to court, to come and to abide. And also we have fears of also him reoffending. Your Honor, it's on these bases that we would make the recommendation for count one, a $2,000 surety. For count two, also a $2,000 surety to stay away from the incident location of that Studio 6 motel and have no further contact with the victim in this case, Mr. Sebastian Kicklighter.
Your Honor, my client is 32 years old. He denies that this is what happened. He tells me that he actually was not on the property at all. He was in the vicinities nearby, but he was on a public highway and not on this property. He also tells me that he had his backpack with his telephone in there, and he had placed it on the ground, and the alleged victim took the phone out of his bag, and he knew that he had the phone, and he was just trying to detain him so he could get his phone from him. I know that my client does have some history, Your Honor, but he's not in a position to pay for bond. So I would ask the court to consider giving him, given that this is a stranger to stranger situation, the alleged victim and my client do not know each other, and also the other charge is a criminal trespass, that the court would consider giving him a signature bond on both of these charges so he can get out of jail. If the court is not inclined to do so, I would ask for a lower bond of no more than $1,000, $500 on each charge, Your Honor. I see my client has his hand up. Mr. Segida, is this in respect to your bond?
Yes, ma'am.
What?
That Friday when the cop stopped me, I was on my way to
Don't speak about your case. Don't speak about the facts of your case, okay?
Right. What I'm saying is I have a rehab that I'm going to right now that I need to be at.
Mask up for me.
That I need to be at, and I already have a room and everything there already established. You know what I mean? When I was going across the highway, I stopped where a group of people was. I put my bag down, and then my phone went missing. When my phone went missing, that's when I said, "Wait, nobody leave. Let me check everybody." And when I grabbed him, and that's when the cops came. And
listen. Why are you talking about your case? You have the right to remain silent.
I would like to have a signature bond because it would allow me to go to my rehab. As soon as I leave here, I'll go to my rehab that I voluntarily went to because I've been fighting homelessness for 10 years. And this is a fresh start for me. So that's what I would like a signature bond for. That way I can go to my rehab. I gave him the number to my girlfriend. She's the one that set everything up. And I was supposed to leave about 2 hours from when he locked me up.
And you were not aware of that, Ms. McLeod, I guess?
I'm sorry.
You were not aware of the fact that he was either going to rehab or in rehab? And had some...
He told me that he was going to go to rehab, Your Honor. Okay. That he had been signed up for rehab.
My only concern is about the open case and some of the history. So Mr. Gullion, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, I'm going to order a $3,000 surety bond, and that will be $2,000 on the simple battery and $1,000 on the criminal trespass. And with that $3,000 signature bond, there's a stay away from the incident location, which is the old Dogwood Road, Studio 6 Motel, no further contact with Sebastian Kicklighter, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Judge, what type of bond is it?
Surety bond, 3,000, 2 and 1, 2 on the battery and 1 on the criminal trespass. All right, that should conclude this case, I believe.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mhm.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Position 12, Harris.
This is 23 CR 002020B. Robert Harris, charged with 1 count of public indecency. The offense date is October 3rd, 2022. After pretrial state, are these facts we can discuss in open court? ASG.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are these facts things that we can state in open court?
Yeah, I think we made a request to have this case heard last, if that would so please the court.
Deputy, can we move this one? I think there's 3 that we're going to do at the end.
Yeah, that's fine, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
Dortch, you're welcome.
Uh-huh. This is 23 CR 002019Y, Shelly Dortch, charged with 1 count of battery, family violence, then state 412023, pretrial.
The defendant has 1 prior cycle. The defendant's last arrest was July the 27th, 2013 in DeKalb County for pandering. That charge was null pros, January the 21st, 2015. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, state.
Yes, so this incident occurred April 1st at 595 Hopewell Downs Drive in Alpharetta, Georgia. And this was in response, the officers arrived to the location in response to a dispute between the defendant and Ms. Colette Granston. Colette is spelled Collette, Granston, Granston, where an altercation broke out between the defendant and Ms. Granston, and the defendant grabbed her hoodie and was pulling it, and officers observed red markings on her arms and around and her neck, Your Honor. For these reasons, the state is asking for a $3,000 surety bond, a 1-day anger awareness course, and no further contact with Ms. Gaston, and lastly, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All right.
And I would like to sound for Ms. Graston if she's on the Zoom.
Okay, Ms. Granston. I think it's Colette Granston. Are you on the Zoom call or Zoom court? Nope, I don't think she is. Go ahead, PD Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Dortch is 55 years old. He was born in Alabama. However, he has been living here in Georgia for more than 25 years. He has been gainfully employed as an IT computer programmer for the last 20 years. He also has a bachelor's degree from Auburn State University. Your Honor, my client has no objection to stay away and no contact whatsoever with Ms. Granston. They broke up, and I believe she moved out, so he can go back home with a law enforcement officer one time to check she really moved out. If she moved out, my client should be allowed to go back to his home, since that place is leased for him only. We would like to request for a signature on bond. There was no violence history. The last one that there was 10 years ago. we would like to request for signature on bond. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to order the $3,000 surety bond. I'm going to order a stay away from 595 Hopewell Downs in Alpharetta. And I'm going to order no further contact with the victim, Colette Granston. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Your Honor, can
that-
he return
Mhm.
because she moved out from that location, Your Honor?
Well, it's always kind of sticky when that happens. I think what I've done in the past is to say they can go back with the police escort. And if the police determine or the law enforcement escort determines that the victim, Ms. Granston, does not reside there are no items there belonging to her, then the defendant can stay. If there are items there belonging to the victim, then they cannot stay.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, thank you.
is that okay, Ms. Champion?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Position 18, Parker.
This is 23 CR 002025J. Winnan Parker charged with 1 count of criminal trespass and damage to property. Pretrial.
The defendant has 30 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was November the 1st, 2022 in Carroll County, Georgia, for a probation violation. The defendant does appear to be on probation in Carroll County for forgery in the first degree. That disposition date was February the 1st, 2016, and the term is for 10 years. The defendant does have outstanding holds. There was one in Dunwoody, Georgia, for a failure to appear. The date on that warrant is May the 26th, 2022. And there is one in Carrollton, Georgia, for a probation violation. The date on that warrant is January the 3rd, 2023. And the defendant does have a history of probation violations. There were 2 in 2022 and 1 in 2019. The defendant does have prior felony convictions. 1 in 2008 out of Bartow County, Georgia, for forgery in the first degree. 1 in 2007 out of Cobb County for possession of controlled substance with the intent to distribute. And 1 in 1997 out of Cobb County for possession of controlled substance. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, State. Deputy Falk.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened on, let me see, April 1st, 2023 at the MARTA located at Lindbergh Center, 2420 Piedmont Road in Atlanta. The defendant set fire to the contents of 3 trash cans on the platform. While that's not in and of itself that notable, the concern the state has is the number of FTAs, the number of probation violations, the number of new offenses this defendant keeps accruing, which does give us concern that he is not a good risk on bond, and does give us concern that he will not return to court based on the FTAs that the pretrial has just outlined. For those reasons, the state is recommending $1,000 surety bond, stay away from all MARTA stations, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. That's all for the state.
All right. PD Kim.
Yes, Mr. Parker is 55 years old. He was born and raised here in Georgia. He is a licensed barber, and he really want to go back to his profession. He wants to get his life together. He wants to get a job. He wants to have a normal life. At this point, he has he's residentially challenged for the last 2 years, and because of that, that's why he gets quite a bit of a criminal trespass. And since he does not get mails, I think that's why it happened. We would like to request for signature on bond for his criminal trespass. And yet, if Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond, $1,000 is acceptable. Thank you. All right, I'm going to order $1,000 surety bond. With that surety bond, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And at this time, Mr. Parker, you're going to need to stay away from all MARTA. I don't know if there are any other suspensions in place, but certainly while you're on bond, you need to take some other form of transportation. And stay away from all MARTA. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while on bond. All right, that should conclude this case.
Position 17, McKay.
It's 23 CR 002024C. Warren McKay, you charged with 1 count of criminal trespass. The offense date is March 30th, 2023. Pre-trial.
The defendant has 7 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was December the 11th, 2020 in Brookhaven, Georgia, for theft by taking. That case appeared to be still pending in DeKalb County, Your Honor, for theft by taking. Sorry, the defendant does have, did receive first offender treatment in 2009 for a misdemeanor out of DeKalb County for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. That case was sealed July the 6th, 2017. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, State.
Yes, Your Honor. This happened March 30th, 2023 at the Galloway Apartments, 3945 Fox Hunt Lane in East Point. Jacques Pride, who is the leasing manager, told the police the defendant was found in a vacant unit after being told not to come back onto the property. Officers observed damage to the door, which was bent, and the apartment complex estimated the damage at approximately $600, which I do understand is over the misdemeanor amount. However, the leasing office has not been able to provide receipts at this point, so we cannot recommend a transfer at this time without some proof that the damage was in fact over $500. Officers did have an opportunity to make contact with the defendant, who stated he knew he was not supposed to be inside the vacant unit. And the state has had a chance to examine the defendant's criminal history. Other than that 2020 theft by taking out of Brookhaven, the next case he has that has any kind of history is 2011. So there is some distance in between those offenses. For that reason, we are amenable to recommending a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services. Stay away from the Galloway Apartments, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. I will say there are 2 different addresses for the Galloway Apartments. The first was that 3945 Fox Hunt Lane address, but also we have a different address when we went onto their website, and that is, let's see, Your Honor will just give me 1 second. That's going to be 4031 Seven Oaks Lane in East Point. So what we're going to ask is the defendant just stay off of all of property of the Galloway, the parks at Galloway. Nothing further for the state.
All right. PD Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Mickey is 49 years old. He was born in New York. However, he has been here in Georgia ever since 1994. So almost 22 years he has been having this place as his hometown. Your Honor, he has been looking for a job. He has been unemployed for last 8 months, and he was finally getting into interviews with job placement for maintenance. However, he's not sure what's going to happen to that job. At this point, he's qualified for public defender's services, so our team will continuously represent him. He graduated from high school, and he does have a nerve damage, so he does have a little bit of disability. However, he's willing to work, and we would like to request for a signature on bond for criminal trespass, which state also recommended. We have no objection. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to order that $3,000 signature bond through pretrial per judge. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Going to order a stay away from the Parks at Galloway Apartments, either 3945 or 4 Fox Hunt or 4031 Seven Oaks Lane. Also, and I think that's it. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing from the state.
Yeah. Position 22, Williams.
This is 23 CR 002033Y. Alex Williams charged with 1 count of loiter and prowling. Pretrial.
The defendant does not have any prior arrests on file, Your Honor. The defendant appeared to meet the criteria for a UJR through the jail. Nothing in addition.
All right. Deputy Falk.
Yes, Your Honor. Officers were called out on April 1st, 2023 to 13093 Highway 9, which was the Dollar Tree. They were called out because the defendant was concealing merchandise and attempting to leave the store. An employee confronted the defendant and told him to either pay or exit the store. And the defendant at that point removed the merchandise from his person and left, but apparently, according to the employee, made hand gestures which caused the employee to think he may be armed, so the employee called the police. Officers then went to locate the defendant based on a description provided by the employees of Dollar General, observed the defendant in an unoccupied residential construction area at the corner of Deerfield Parkway and Webb Road. The defendant was observed climbing onto a large construction vehicle, sitting in the passenger seat, then getting off the vehicle and he began roaming through the construction site. He did not have permission to be there, and there was no legitimate purpose for him to be there. So the officer did make contact with him and placed him under arrest. Based on the fact the defendant has no history, the state is asking for a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. We're going to ask for a stay away from the Dollar Tree and the construction site at the corner of Deerfield Parkway and Webb Road. And that is all for the state. Thank you.
All right. Baby Kim.
We have no objection to signature on bond, and yet we would like to request for a signature on bond through jail. This is his first offense, and he is only 24 years old, and he is here for the last 4 months working at Panera Bread as a dishwasher. He works 7 days a week, and he also works at Winbrook Milton. It's all in Milton. He's been doing that for the last 3 months here in Georgia, and he lives with his auntie and uncle. We would like to request for a signature on bond through jail. Thanks.
All right. I'm going to order that $3,000 signature bond go through pretrial. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I'm going to also order that he stay away from the Dollar Tree on Highway 9.
Your Honor, we're also asking for a stay away from that construction site at the corner of Deerfield Parkway and Webb Road.
Yes, sorry about that, as well as the construction site.
you.
at Deerfield and Webb Road. Stay away from that location as well.
Position 16, Lyons.
This is 23 CR 002040E. Charles Lyons charged with 1 count of criminal trespass, a 2nd count of theft by taking. And the offense date is April the 2nd, 2023 pretrial. And did pretrial have this case? Yes or no?
It was not on the pull sheet, but I just noticed it on the calendar, so I'm gonna go through it. I started making some notes, Your Honor.
We'll defer to the state for now. State, do you have the history?
Yes, Your Honor. We have 8 cycles in Georgia.
Okay.
Concerning, we have a 2011 probation violation. We have a 2012 criminal trespass guilty conviction, a 2008 carrying a concealed weapon conviction, a 1999 furnishing alcohol to underage person in 1999. Also, we have some arrests, one being a 2006 carrying concealed weapon and 2009 forgery. These are arrests with either without a conviction or a dead docket time expired.
Okay.
And Your Honor, the offense date of this incident is April 2nd, 2023. It took place at 1413 Jasmine Parkway, Alpharetta in Fulton County, Georgia. Officers were called out concerning a man stealing packages. There they met with the victim in this case, a Ruth Ruffin, who stated her package was taken from her doorstep. She received notification that she had received the package and it was delivered. And she suspected her roommate, Charles Lynn, had taken her package. When she asked Mr. Lyons, about her package, he made several contradictory statements about its whereabouts. When the victim in this case threatened to call the police, he then eventually retrieved the package from under his bed. When officers arrived and questioned him about why he took the package, he could not state clearly or give a reasonable answer as to why he had taken the package. Your Honor, he does have, we have some concerns, obviously, with the connection between the victim and the witness. The victim and the defendant. The state's recommendation on this is a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial services, 1,000 on count one, let me start that over. A $2,000 signature bond through pretrial services on count 1, a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial services on count 2, for a total of $3,000 through pretrial services to have no further contact with the victim and stay away from the incident location. Your Honor, we have tried to make contact with the victim in this case, Ms. Ruth Ruffin, but as of now, we have not been able to contact her.
And so the parties, you understand, are from the police report of the warrant, their roommates?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, let's see what PD Kim has to say. I may have a few other questions.
Sure. Mr. Lyons is 42 years old. He was born here in Georgia. And that location, 1513 Jasmine Parkway, is actually my client's place. And Ruth Ruffin was basically borrowing a room from him. And my client denies the allegation about theft by taking. He is gainfully employed as a truck driver. He's been doing that for the last 5 years. He has an associate degree from Art Institute of Atlanta. He was studying graphic art. We would like to request, we don't mind about a signature on bond. We just want you through the jail. Thank you.
Your Honor, my only concern is that the officer did have an opportunity to speak with Mr. Lyons about this, Your Honor. And also, we have not had the ability to speak to the victim in this case to ascertain what's the living arrangements, but it was in the warrant that in the report that they do share a space. They are classified, or the officers recognize them as roommates.
All right, we have to ensure the safety of the victim at this time. What I'm going to do, I will grant the $2,000 signature bond. And that's going to be through pretrial services. And I understand it's a package that was taken, but I'm trying to make sure what we can do regarding the victim and the defendant in this case. And I'm assuming you're going to tell me, PD Kim, the lease is in the defendant's name, and you
Yes.
said Ms. Ruffin was renting a room from him.
Yes.
Then I'll say what I said in the other case. I will allow a one-time law enforcement escort to go back to that property with Mr. Lyons. Do not go back there by yourself. Have a law enforcement escort. And if there are no things there that are no belongings or personal items of, is it Ruth Ruffin?
Yes,
If there
Your
are no
Honor.
items, if there are no items there belonging to her, then Mr. Lyons will be able to stay. But if there are items still there that belong to Ms. Ruffin, then Mr. Lyons needs to find somewhere else to stay until the victim has vacated the premises. Is that clear, Mr. Lyons?
Oh, yes, you saying that she would get her belongings and leave the premises with a police escort?
I can kind of barely hear you. She has belongings there and what?
You saying she would get her belongings and leave the premises with a police escort?
No, that's not what I said.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to order her to leave and get out, unfortunately, because she's the victim in this matter. And I do understand that it is a package, and I understand these are allegations, but I want to make sure that she will be safe, considering the circumstances. I don't know how long she's been there, but I'm sure the state will make contact with her at some point if there's any assistance that needs to be provided to her. But if you go back there with your law enforcement escort and she still has belongings there, you're not going to be allowed to stay there. And you can talk to your attorney, PD Kim, and she will inform you how that should go. And if we need to hear a bond modification matter later, then PD Kim can file a motion for that. And then I can do some changes to the bond at that time.
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. That should conclude this matter. Did I say no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond? Not sure if I said that.
No, Your Honor. You is that a condition?
Yes. All right. If that concludes this matter, anything else, counsel?
No.
Okay.
Position 10, Gaston.
This is 23 CR 002021F. Brent Gaston charged with 1 count of battery family violence, pretrial.
The defendant has 7 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was June the 19th, 2002, for acquiring a license plate for purpose of concealing identification of a motor vehicle and giving false information to an officer, and driving while license suspended or revoked, and that was in Cobb County, Georgia. The defendant does have prior misdemeanor convictions. sworn in 2003 out of Cobb County for a traffic offense, and the defendant received a nolo contendere sentence in 1995 out of DeKalb County for carrying a concealed weapon. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right. State.
Yes, Your Honor. The offense date in this incident is April 2nd, 2023. It took place at 550 Abernathy Road in Atlanta, Georgia. Officers responded to a physical fight call. There they met with the victim, in this case, Miss Gaston, B-R-I, who is the daughter of the defendant. She stated that her father intentionally battered her by striking her in the face repeatedly with a closed fist. Officers observed abrasion on her eyebrow, as well as laceration from broken glass on her left leg. Ms. Gaston required medical attention to address her injuries. Your Honor, though he has no violent convictions, he has been arrested in 1995 for simple battery, also in 2001 for battery as well. Both of those cases were subsequently null-prossed. Your Honor, with the injuries that are alleged in the warrant, and also the fact that there's only been about a day or two since this took place, Your Honor, the state has obviously some very some concerns about a cooling off period, and also the relationship between the victim and the defendant. The state's recommendation in this case for the count one family violence battery is a $5,000 surety bond, no further contact with the victim. We were not able to speak with the victim in this case. We've tried all the different numbers that we could locate for her with that name and that information that we have, and we haven't been able to speak to her yet. But we would ask, until we are able to ascertain what the living situation is, that there be a stay away condition also included, and that there be no alcohol or drugs or weapons while under supervision.
All right. PD Wills.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Gaston is 50 years old. He is employed. He owns 18-wheelers. He is single, and this incident, of course, as it was stated, did happen between himself and his adult daughter. She does not reside in the home. And so we would, of course, ask that he be allowed to return to his property. Mr. Gaston states that actually his daughter was the primary aggressor, that the injuries she received was a result from her tumbling and stepping on a wine glass that she had behind her. As it also was stated, Mr. Gaston does not have any prior battery convictions. He has a very minimal history. And so in light of that, Your Honor, we would ask for a signature bond.
All right. How old is Miss Gaston? Does it stay on their state, or you all can see from the police report?
22.
22? Okay. And is it your understanding, or does it say anything, state that she does or doesn't reside there? Is there another address listed for her?
Your Honor, at the time of court, we weren't able to retrieve a police report. Information was retrieved from the arrest warrants.
All right.
It didn't include any information about whether she lived at that location or not.
And my client reported that she previously resided with him. She is 22 years old. However, at the time of this incident, he had already put her out of the home. She was not residing there, that he does work out of town as he does drive. He returned to the premises and she was there without permission. So she has been out of his property for quite some time. So that is not her home.
You know what my concern is, and it's hard to, weigh that and to know at this point. I will give Mr. Gaston a signature bond. I'm going to make that a $5,000 signature bond. I'm going to do that through the jail. I'm going to, since he is the driver and has some income, obviously, I'm going to right now, Mr. Gaston, order that you stay away from the 550 Abernathy Road. However, just as you may have heard on a couple of the other cases, when you bond yourself out, you can arrange for a law enforcement escort to go back to that property with you. And if they go back there and find no belongings belonging to your daughter, Brigette, and you can stay there. If not, you need to find somewhere else to stay, speak to your attorney later so that she can file the proper motion for a bond modification order. But I want to make sure that your daughter will be safe. and
Judge,
that
you
the
said
two of you-
5,000 SOB to the jail, correct?
Yes, ma'am. And just want to make sure that you all don't have any other incidents in the interim or while you're on bond, okay? And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond as well.
Judge, you have froze for a couple seconds.
Oh, did I? Oh, sorry about that. 5,000 signature bond through the jail. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons. And did you hear me state about a law enforcement escort?
Yes.
You heard that? Okay. So make sure, and if they go back with you and there's some belongings there of hers, then you cannot stay there. You have to stay somewhere else until we are able to ascertain that, and then your attorney can apply to modify the bond.
Okay,
All right.
Position-
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Position 7, Coleman.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. This is position 17.
No, 7, Coleman.
Oh, 7. Sorry about that. 23 CR 002035C, Joshua Coleman, charged with 1 count of theft of service and a 2nd count of possession and use of drug-related objects. The offense date 3/31/2023. Pre-trial.
The defendant has 6 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was December the 13th, 2022, out of Lyons County, Georgia, for a probation violation. The defendant appeared to meet the criteria for UJR through pretrial services, a level 2. The defendant does have misdemeanor convictions. There was one in 2022 out of Lyons County for criminal trespassing. Then there was one in 2019 out of Duluth, Georgia, for license to be displayed upon demand. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right. State.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. This offense date took place on March 31st, 2023 at 3755 College Street. That is at the ATL restaurant. That's spelled AYETEEELLE, ATL restaurant. Officers responded to a call about a person not paying their tab. Employees at the restaurant described a person who didn't pay their tab and then walked out on foot. Officers were able to locate and later identify that person as the defendant, Joshua Coleman. Mr. Coleman admitted to the officer that he had a drink at the location and confirmed that he didn't pay, stating that he walks on faith. Managers at the restaurant stated that the defendant, that they entered the establishment, ordered a Casamigo margarita, and then attempted to exit without paying on foot. Officers asked Mr. Coleman at this point if he would pay his bill, and he refused. Officers then arrested the defendant for theft of service. Search incident to arrest resulted officers finding a multicolored pipe with dark burnt substances inside of a fanny pack on the defendant. Your Honor, the state's recommendation in this case, the bond is currently set at a $7,000 surety bond. The state's recommendation is a reduction of that to, on count 1, a $1,000 surety on count 1, and for the possession of drug-related objects, a $500 surety bond, and to stay away from the incident location at 3755 College Street.
Okay. PD Wills.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Coleman is 26 years old. He was born in Georgia. He has completed some college. And so in light of what pretrial services proffered to the court and the recommendation of an unsecured judicial release, we would ask that the court follow that recommendation and also ask for a signature bond.
Okay. I will grant that signature bond. On the first charge, it would be the $1,000, and on the second charge, $1,000. So a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Stay away from the Ayatel restaurant at 3755 College Street. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Judge, you have froze for a second again. For the second charge, is it 1,000 SOB through the jail?
Yes, both of them, $2,000. I'm sorry, nope. Correction, I'm sorry. It's $2,000 SOB pretrial. I'm sorry. 1,000 on each charge and 2,000 SOB pretrial.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm not for sure. Am I freezing for anyone else? No.
Judge.
Okay. Yeah, I know the connection just may be that way.
Position 5, Carter.
This is 23 CR 002034H. Marcus Carter. 1 count of failure to obey traffic signal or a light. 2nd count driving without a valid license. And 3rd count unlawful to possess, display, or use any false, fraudulent, or altered identification document. All with the offense date April 2nd, 2023. Pretrial.
The defendant has 8 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was September the 25th, 2019 with the City of Atlanta Police Department for driving without a valid license. The defendant does have a prior felony conviction in 2014 out of Cobb County for possession of cocaine. And the defendant does have misdemeanor convictions, one in 2014 out of Cobb County for battery. And the defendant received a nolo contendere sentence in 2009 out of Cobb County for simple battery. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right.
Yes, so Your Honor, this incident occurred yesterday at 1050 Donald Lee Hollowell Parkway, where officers commenced a traffic stop after observing the defendant not stopping at a blinking red light. And when the officer approached the defendant and asked for the defendant's license, the defendant gave the officer a fake ID with the picture of a white male named Kevin Bradbury. Later, the defendant did admit to giving the officer a fake ID, and he did admit that he does not have a valid license, Your Honor. For these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services, $1,000 on each charge, and no driving and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All right. PD Wills.
Yes, Your Honor, we would have no objection to a signature bond.
Okay. All right. I will order that $3,000 signature bond, and I'm going to make that through the jail, and that will be $1,000 on each of the charges. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I'm going to order no driving while on bond. It's obvious you don't have a license, so you should not be driving. There's enough alternatives out there now, Uber and Lyft and all these other means. So no driving while on bond, and really until you ever able to get a valid driver's license from DDS. But for now, we'll just say no driving, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. That should conclude this case.
Position 4, Ballowell.
'23 CR 002037J. I'm not for sure how to pronounce your last name.
Yahweh,
Say that again.
Yahweh, Yahweh.
Yahweh. You're charged of 1 count of driving, speeding, 2nd count of reckless driving, 3rd count of DUI under the influence of alcohol with the concentration of 0.08 grams more than within 3 hours or more, and a 2nd count of DUI less safe. Total of 4 counts. The offense date is April the 2nd, 2023. Pre-trial.
The defendant does not have any prior arrests on file, Your Honor. The defendant appeared to meet the criteria for a UJR through the jail. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right. State.
Yes, Your Honor. So this incident occurred yesterday morning at about 1:25, and it was on Georgia 400 southbound and Holcomb Bridge Road. And this is where officers clocked the defendant driving 103 miles per hour in a 65 miles per hour zone. And so when officers commenced the traffic stop, the officer asked the defendant how many alcoholic beverages he had, and he did admit to having 1 Belgian beer about an hour before the traffic stop, Your Honor. And so the officer then commenced a sobriety test where, among other things, the defendant had an unsteady balance, and he had a BAC of 0.126, Your Honor, where the legal limit is 0.08. For these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $5,000 surety bond. We're asking for a $3,000 surety for the DUI, $500 surety for the speeding, $1,000 for the DUI less safe, and a $500 for the reckless driving. We're also asking for no driving unless it's for work or an emergency, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All right. PB Wills.
Thank you, Your Honor. My client is 30 years old. He is employed by Marina Group as a business development representative. He has completed some college. He has been in Georgia since January and has relatives that live in the state. In light of my client's criminal history, being that it's none or minimal, and in light of pretrial's recommendation of a UGR release, we would ask the court to follow that recommendation, and we would ask for a $5,000 signature on bond, please.
Okay. All right, I will order the $5,000 signature bond through the jail. That will be 500 on the speeding, 500 on the reckless, 3,000 on the DUI, 0.08 grams, and 1,000 on the DUI less safe, for a total of $5,000 signature bond through the jail. I'm going to order no driving except for to go to work for an emergency or to visit your attorney or come to court. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I think that's it. Anything else, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Judge, we're ready for the breakout for positions 2, 12, and 15.
Okay,
And for position 2, if Attorney Finling could be part of that, if he's still on the Zoom. Oh, he is still here. If he can be included on the breakout room for position 2.
Yes,
Okay.
and Attorney
And-
Falk.
Falk
And your-
and
I
yes.
apologize.
PDQ.
And Your Honor, the state does object to going out into a breakout room on position 12.
Yes, Your Honor, the request at courtroom 2 is that position 12 just be held last. We didn't actually request
Okay.
a breakout.
Yes, Your
Okay,
Honor.
so 2 and 15 are breakouts, but then 12 is just last, and we'll turn off the recording.
Your Honor, we would object to the recording being turned off as well.
That's one or the other. I'll either do it last and turn off the recording because it's still going to be live streamed, or either I'll take it in a breakout.
Your Honor can turn off the live stream without turning off the recording, which would then make it a violation of the open courtroom. So it is possible, we have seen it done where they can turn off the YouTube, but still record the proceedings, which allows it. Yep.
Miss Champion, who's my Zoom master today?
It's me today, Judge. Great
Oh,
work.
you know, I'm not used to seeing you in that capacity.
Look, and trust me, I'm not used to it either.
Are you able to do that, or is Mr. Jordan or somebody?
He's
or
right here
Natasha?
beside me. We got this. He's here beside me.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay.
And not to say that you could not have handled it
Look,
yourself.
I
but
need him, okay?
Yes, but we
Okay.
appreciate you, Mr. Jordan, for doing that.
So who's all doing this
All right.
breakout? Everybody?
Is everyone in the breakout?
This first breakout on position 2, is that correct?
Yes, that's myself, Mr. Finling, and the ASG that's on the case.
Yes, Bickerstaff and Ms. Falk.
And
Okay.
Kim, please.
Kim wants to come in.
Okay, so that's pretty much everybody then, huh? Okay, so y'all trying to confuse me, but I got you.
Yeah, you got him.
Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
Okay. Bear with me just a second, guys.
Okay.
Oh my God.
And who's iPhone Joyce O'Neill? I'm sorry.
Greetings, Judge. I am Robert Harris's mother.
Okay.
Oh, for
Position 12.
position 12. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And Ms.
I
Bridgewater.
meant to ask that earlier.
If for position 2, if Miss Jennifer Barnwell is on the Zoom call, could we add her to the breakout? I'm not sure if she's on here, but if she is, Miss Barnwell? No? Okay.
And I think the only other name I see is a Shirley Hall. We are Allen. Deputy, can you still hear me?
I'm sorry, Judge, will you?
Mhm.
Oh. It's not muted. No, it's good. Okay.
I'm sorry, courtroom 2, deputy in courtroom 2. Hi, do you need the bond decisions on the 2 that we handled in the breakout?
I do.
Okay, position 2, Barnwell. That's going to be a $2,000 cash bond. And stay away from the Tarragon Way. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and no further contact with her mom, Jennifer Barnwell. And she is only to be released for MH court on Thursday. Not to anyone else, even though it is a cash bond. And then position 15. $15 is a $750 surety bond. And stay away from all MARTA. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons, except for any prescribed medication to continue to take. That's $250 on each of the charges, because there's 3 charges on 15. And we're getting ready to now do position 12. And do I need to do anything for my streaming?
No, ma'am, Miss Holly can stop the YouTube.
All right. Ms.
Miss
Bridgewater. Can you
So
do
I'm
that?
sorry, what's the bond for position 12, Mr. Harris?
That's the case we're getting ready to do now.
Oh.
We're just not